Welcome to round 2 of week 3. I decided that my deck was not very good as an 18 land slow deck with no real threats, so this is the version that I've kind of started my game 1s with after playing 3 rounds with this as the main deck now. This is kind of what I've come to being the best build, but I did play a couple other cards, Goblin Warpaint and Glory Seeker and stuff, but I didn't have Tarsner in there and things like that. But down to 17 lands, just playing a bunch of ways to attack, and looking at my curve of removal, I still have all the same removal. I'm just using my attackers a little bit more aggressively, and then I cut like a 2/2 and some other slower cards, 2/5 Totem Guide Heartbeast, right? So I cut them for things like Guardian Zendikon and Fortified Rampart. They make Vent Sentinel deal more damage, which could be relevant, and they block really well. They tend to blank a lot of creatures, which means I don't have to use my removal on them. And then things like, Heat Rays and Iona's Judgment should be able to and Sheer Drop should be able to take care of the bigger threats that exist in the world. I've been happy with Belligerent Whiptail. This card actually gets in for a lot of damage typically. So this deck isn't exactly what I've been playing in these next 3 rounds, but that's if I'm going to build a red-white aggro deck splashing black, that's what I want to have it be. So I believe this is our ZombieNeko Unified Pauper game. Yeah. So playing against ZombieNeko. Going into it, let's see if I can look it up real quick. Match listing. Let's just look at the scoreboard. I think Zombie's up there near the top. Let's go Gadget Internet. Currently watching LSV stream as well, so maybe that's why my internet just can't handle streaming and doing the internet. Yeah, so Zombie has 28 total points. So I guess he's actually in like second, third place. These aren't in total order, mainly because I don't know what order they're in, but he's up there, so it's a relevant match to win. His hand's quite strong. We have a 3-drop. It is really good at attacking, and we get to be on the play as well, which is great. And we have Mountain here, and we get to hold Heat Ray for 1 open. And he plays Juka Brigand, which is not a 2/2. It's a 1/1 that gets a trigger for a +1/+1 counter. So we actually get to Heat Ray it here. And I do Heat Ray it because I wouldn't be blocking with any of my creatures, and I don't want to waste a different removal spell on it. So that's a really sick ability for us to kill it, use our 2-drop mana to kill it, and then be way ahead on this race that we're about to embark upon. It's a little annoying that he plays a 1/4 here. So I don't hit my land drop, so I have a choice. I could Goblin Warpaint and try to hit for 5, but if he has like any removal, then he just 2-for-1s me, and I deal him 5, but not really what I'm looking to do when he's at 20. So instead I don't miss my land drop, and this ensures that I can play a 4/2 next turn, which will be very good because it can attack into the Vampire. Envoy. So I assume he's got another play here. He does, and he's got Induced Despair, revealing Coreline Slinger. So he didn't really need to, reveal anything with much toughness or converted mana cost. But he kills my 3/1 instead of my 4/2, which I'm pretty happy with. I bash for 1 since he has no way of hitting me. He gets to hit for 3 this turn, gain some life because he can't block. I'm fine with that. And he plays a Chain Mage. Okay. So I don't hit land, but I don't want to trade my 4-2 into his, so I pretty much have no choice but to Touch of the Void it, bash him for 5. And I feel like we're way ahead on this race as is, so he needs to do something here. And he does. He casts Iona's Judgment. And so now he's way ahead on the race as is. Here, just to be mana efficient, I play the Battle Herda. It might stop him from attacking, it might not. Plays a Coraline Singer and starts the beatdowns. Here I still only have 5 mana available. So I make my attacks. And what do? Play my 4-drop, yeah. Just again, another mana efficient play. I don't want him to kill the Dawnglare Invoker. I draw Brute Strength. That's a pretty interesting draw. So I have an interesting play here. He goes to tap my guy, but I can cast Brute Strength in response so that it will not get tapped, and I can deal a heck of a lot of damage with it. So I decide to attack with everything. I should have cast the Complete Disregard before attacking, because if somehow he counters this, then he gets to eat one of my flyers, potentially. And it looks like he's got something, and it was Stagger Shock, actually. So in his exile zone, he's got Stagger Shock. But it only could kill my 1/1, so. And then it just deals 2 to my face, so I'm firmly ahead on board now. And he just got a 3-mana 2/2, which doesn't do anything. So my play is pretty easy. Play my 3/1 and then hit it up with Goblin Warpaint. He must tap it down, which means I'm going to get in for 5, which means he must chump block. And he plays a creature and concedes. Okay. Let's see. On to game 2. I am on the draw this game. And this hand looks reasonable. It's almost the same hand that we had last time, except no Pilgrim's Eye, but we have the 4th land, so seems pretty great for us. Oh, there's the Pilgrim's Eye, so it's basically the same hand. Except we're on the draw. Being on the draw is super relevant because this creature does not die. So now he plays another ally, so now we're getting hit for 3. We don't have a 2-drop. We draw another 3-drop, which I'm fine with playing, because if he doesn't have an ally, I'd be happy to trade my 3/2 for his 3/3. Nope. He makes it a 4/4 with the land, first strike, plays another ally, 5/5 first strike. Yikes. And I just draw land, so this game is pretty much over. He's got Journey, kill my guy, make his guy flying. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I can't trade with anything. Down to 3. And that is what they call in the biz a nut draw. So yeah, I lost in about 2 seconds. So being on the play is super relevant. Let's see what we can do here. Is this hand good enough? Got the Glory Seeker in there because the curve. It requires a plains, but if it does, then we have black and yeah, we just have to hit plains. I don't want to mulligan, and plains is the lands that we have the most of in the deck, so I have like 2 or 3 turns to hit plains. And I hit it on the 3rd turn, which is lucky me. So overall, I really only missed 2 damage. He decides to trade 2/2s, which I am fine with because it clears the way for my 4/2. And he's got a 3/2. So I could attack, but I wouldn't have first strike, and that would give him the opportunity to trade. I don't want that. So which removal spell do you use? Both cost you 3 mana, but I think it's quite obvious that you use the Touch of the Void because it's not an instant and Heat Ray can kill X4s. So kill his guy, attack for 4. And he has no play. He could have Gideon's Reproach or something, but if he has it, he has it. Nope, looks like he has Repel into Darkness, which is not a big deal. I missed my 5th land drop though, so I can only play a 3/1, and I actually make a misplay here and pass the turn. I failed to realize that I can tap hold out Settlement for white with the Core Castigator and play the Fortified Rampart. It's not going to be super relevant, hopefully. He plays a 3/3. And here I do hit land, but I make a different play than playing the land. I want to be able to get my 3/1 in for full amount of damages here too. Hitting him to 7 really puts him on the back foot. So it turns out he has Dazzling Reflection, so he gains 4 life, takes 3. So he's got like a, gain 8 life card for 2 mana, which is just not good. And then finally draws another red source. And no creature, so can't be good for him. So again, I'm content with holding on to this land. It does have a lot of life, but this puts him down to 10. I can still play my Courier Griffin. Still holding on to this land. Because the second he plays a blocker for Belligerent Whiptail, I want to be able to first strike through it. Looks like he's getting a little flooded. And perfect scenario. So this turn, without my land, if my land was already in play, I wouldn't be able to make this attack, and they would just trade, which he would be more than happy to do. So he has to taste it, because I was patient on that land drop, and then I get to play another threat. And then he's got a guy that can't block, and Expedition Raptor. So he's just dead on board. He's got 2 creatures I can block. My 2 biggest power is here, so then he takes 5, and he's at 4 with no cards in hand. So, yep. Just attack with everything and we get him. So just kept him on the back foot long enough, and my high power, 4 power, and 3 power creatures delivered sufficient beatdowns. So a little misplay of not being able to play the Fortified Rampart did not, mess me up in any way that game. So that is the first game played with this red, white, black aggro deck, and I was happy with it. It seemed to have a little bit more of a plan. The removal wasn't being used defensively, it was being used offensively, which, cards in this format are, there's nothing that can catch you up from being really, really far behind that easily. Dawnglare Invoker is like the best card. So in general, I think you just want to try to beat down if possible. Another thing to keep in mind is, as these decks become, basically go from sealed deck to team sealed decks to like good draft decks, is basically what some of these good decks are going to start looking like, because of all the cards available in the pool. Being on the play matters more. You'll see me choose play when I previously was choosing draw, and having just better mana and a better curve matters more. So, yep, stay tuned for some more rounds with this deck.